All right, Game Ninja Maniacs, we gotta talk about something. In all seriousnessly, I gotta speak on it because too many people are talking about it. So I am a Nintendo fanboy. Everybody knows that. If you follow the channel, you do know. But let's take the Nintendo hat off for a second, and let's speak genuinely as gamers. Now, it's become incumbent on me that everybody has had a problem with the recent pricing of the Nintendo Switch 2 that's coming out. And I've just like all of you guys, I did my due diligence and I look into things. You can Google anything I say in this video. You can Google and look up. You can look on their websites. This is 100% fact, no cap. You can look it up for yourself. First of all, let's talk about the pricing of the system. $450. While it is the highest we've ever paid for a Nintendo system, it's also the best Nintendo system graphically they've ever created. We've been asking them for years to step up their game, and they finally stepped up their game to PlayStation and Xbox, and we have a problem with the price. Now, right there, before I even justify what I'm about to say, let's talk about that. You don't have a problem with paying $800 for a PlayStation that comes with no stand, no disc, one controller, no game. You don't have a problem paying $800 for a PlayStation. You don't have a problem paying $600 for an Xbox. But you have a problem paying $450 for a next-gen, top-of-the-line, premium Nintendo Switch 2, which does all the work that its predecessors does. Well, I'm gonna put a little graphic right here, and you can Google this and you can see this. To produce the Nintendo Switch 2 system, it cost Nintendo $400 per unit. Talk about that for 1 second. It cost them a production cost of $400 per unit. Now let's take it the cost of the Nintendo Switch 2. It's $450. They're charging you $50 above their production price. That's a loss. That's at a loss. $450. It cost them $400 to produce each unit. The NVIDIA inside of it, the chipset, the processor, the memory, everything they're using in it is state of the art. All new materials, all new things for Nintendo. Never done it before. It's a premium product. No different from PlayStation 5 or that new Xbox that you have. No different. So when it comes to Nintendo, everybody looks down on them because they're the family system, because they're the value system. Now they bring a premium product to the table that can stack up next to that PlayStation, next to that Xbox, which what the gaming community has been asking for years, and you have a problem with it. I understand it's more costly than what it is before, but it's costing them $400 per unit to produce. $400, and they're charging you $450. $50 over their production cost. Now, if it was $200 over their production cost or $100 over their production cost, I can see that. Now let's talk about that bundle. Because if you get Mario Kart 8, which is an $80 game, well, Mario Kart World, which is an $80 game, and you get the Nintendo Switch, they bundle it together, take another loss, and you're getting it for $500. So you're getting a little bit of like $30 off the game. That's still at a loss. So the $450 is at a loss. The bundle is at a loss. And they even said they're looking to recoup it with their software, which is gaming and the games. So let's just stack this up because a lot of people are talking mad shit. And yeah, I'm a Nintendo fanboy, but I'm a gamer first. And I deal with gaming on the aspect. I have every console. You can look around the room. Y'all seen it before. I have every console. So here's my point. The world didn't go crazy over an $800 PlayStation that has no disk drive and no stand. Let's take just the regular one. The regular one's going to set you back about $600 to $700. So nobody has problem paying $600 to $700 when it's a PlayStation. We got that PS logo on it. Y'all fine with it. No problem. Y'all buy it in droves. You bundle it. You'll auto sell it and get it in there. And then you mass produce it and sell it to people for twice the price because the scalpers are out there doing that. But nobody has a problem with that. Nobody has a problem with that. That Xbox that people want to tear down all the time. Oh, you don't have games. You don't have this. You don't have that. You don't have that. But they sold enough systems to make budget. They sold enough systems to stay afloat. They sold enough systems to do what they needed to do. So enough of the people were okay with their $600 price tag too as well. When it comes to Nintendo Switch, now the world wants to set it ablaze and have a problem because it's supposed to be that cheap system. Well, here's the thing. You asked for better. You asked for modern. You asked for Nintendo to come to the table. They've answered that. State-of-the-art graphics, 120 frames per second in 4K is, how much are you paying for a 4K TV that can do 120 frames per second? How much money are you coming out of pocket with that? Look up that cost. How about 60 frames per second, 1080p? How much you spending on the TV? Now you're talking about a system that does both handheld with those aspects as well as TV. So it's not only a console, it's also a handheld. Now, here's the thing. How much are they calling for that streaming device that PlayStation has that people are buying? It's just a stream. You stream your games on this handheld. It's not a dedicated handheld. It's not like a PlayStation Portable or a PS Vita. How much are you paying for that? How much is that beautiful VR bundle that you have for PlayStation 5? How much does everything accessory-wise cost for PlayStation 5? And then when Nintendo does what everybody's been asking them to do for the last, I don't know, decade, 10 years. Oh man, I would buy a Nintendo Switch, but the graphics just doesn't have it. I buy a Nintendo Switch, but it's just not powerful enough. I go for my ROG Ally. I go for my Steam Deck. First of all, how much does a Steam Deck cost? Go ahead, look it up, Google it. How much does that ROG Asus Ally, how much does that ROG cost you? Go ahead, look it up. Now stack those prices next to the Nintendo Switch 2 pricing at launch. They're operating at a loss. $400 to produce each unit. They're charging you $450. That's $50 above it costs them to produce. That's at a loss. Now you want to talk about the games. Okay, so let's talk about the games. Since we're talking about Mario Kart World, since that's the first game huge it's bundled with, let's talk about Mario Kart World. $80. I'm going to put a graphic in a scene right here. How much was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Does anybody know? $59. 60 bucks. With tax, maybe $62, $65, something around that. And then if you got the Booster Course Pass, it was $24.88. Oh, wait a minute. Bundle those together? More characters, more carts, more access, more courses. Now we're at the $80 price point plus. So $80 plus for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The single highest selling game Nintendo produced over the past 10 years. None of y'all had a problem with spending $59 for the game and $24 for that Booster Course Pass. But you bitching now that you got to spend $80 when it has all of that in it, plus, look at the game. Look at the game. Now it's on a 64 gig cart, which a lot of people didn't understand. It's a 64 gig cart on there. The game is on there if you buy it physically. Digitally, it's the same. But you're talking about 120 frames per second. You're talking about in 4K. You know how many computers can't even produce that type of power? Talk about the DLSS technology in it. Talk about the NVIDIA physics in it. Look at the game itself. Now look at the premium product that they produced with premium games. This is something y'all all asked for. You wanted Nintendo to bring it. Nintendo brought it and upped it by $50 in the price. The Nintendo Switch 1, you said it right, was limited. It couldn't attack some of the games that it wants to attack now. But now that you can bust that Assassin's Creed on it, now that you can bust them Call of Duties on it, now that you can bust those games, Cyberpunk, now you can bust all those games that you wanted to buy on the PlayStation, on the Xbox, Now you can bust that on Nintendo Switch, and now you're going to be angry with them because they upped the price. Well, I got news for you. It costs them to produce the system. They're charging you $50 over their production cost. Now, I don't know if anybody out there is any kind of business major in the world, but multiply that loss. Multiply that loss. Now, this is not even talking tariffs or increases or anything like that. The accessories, they probably going to rise in price because of where they buy them from, where they cost, and everything else. But the system, they stood on deck and kept the price, even through the tariffs things that we're going through right now. They announced it, that what they announced it as, it's going to be that. $4.99 for the Mario Kart bundle, $4.50 for the regular Switch 2. $4.50 Switch 2. Xbox, $500 to $600. PlayStation 5 Pro, $800. $800. No drive, no stand. That should come with it. Now, when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, you guys are nickel and diamond everything that they do. Everything that they do, you're nickel and diamond. Yet, it's forgivable on PlayStation. It's forgivable on Xbox. But at the same token, look at all the games coming to Switch. They're coming from Xbox. They're coming from PlayStation to Nintendo. How many of y'all see Nintendo games being pushed out on PlayStation or Xbox? Go ahead, I'll wait. There ain't none. Nintendo Switch tackled Mortal Kombat 1, not beautifully, but with all the updates, it was able to produce it. Nintendo Switch 1 pumped out Hogwarts Legacy. Look at the milestones in games Nintendo Switch 1 was able to accomplish. Look at Monster Hunter Rise, Sunbreak, with the expansions. Look at how beautiful that game was. Look at Xenoblade Chronicles, the Definitive Edition 2, the one that just came out. Look at Breath of the Wild. Look at some of the games that the Nintendo Switch 1 on its limited hardware, because that's what y'all talked about. Y'all downed them because of their limited hardware. Oh, it's on Switch. You clown the Switch. Oh, it's on Switch. They ain't going to be able to do this. They ain't going to be able to do that. Now that they can, now that they have an answer for you, now that they're on deck, and they're still lower than PlayStation, they're still lower than Xbox, now you want to bitch because they give you a premium product and what you asked for. You're able to play those games that you play on PlayStation and Xbox on your Nintendo Switch in handheld mode. Handheld mode. And dock. So it's both a console and a handheld hybrid. It plays Switch 1 games and Switch 2 games. And yet and still, you can't be justifiable in the price when it costs them $400 per unit to produce it. And they're charging you $50 above that unit per cost. If you're any kind of business major, that's a negative to you as a company. So if you want to call them money hungry, I can hear your point of view. But when it comes to logistics, business-wise, and mathematics, they're operating at a loss. At a launch, they're operating at a loss. I don't think that's a greedy company. To me, that sounds like somebody who heard what you asked for and gave it to you. But do you want the price to stay the same? It's not the Switch 1. It's the Switch 2. It's not the Switch 1. It doesn't have the same capabilities. It is 1,000 times better than that Switch 1 hardware and software-wise. Look at Mario Kart. Look at the Mario Kart game. And a lot of people's like, well, I don't see the justifying $80. You ain't see the justifying $80 that you spent on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Call me a liar, because at over 80 million units sold, that's 80 million people that bought it. So go ahead and tell me how you have a problem with the $80 cost of Mario Kart World when all of you, 80 million of you, bought Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and got the expansion. Now say something. Say something. Because it's all about business. Nintendo is now a business. And at 100%, they are a business. What business do you know would launch at a loss just to satisfy its consumers? Now, I am a Nintendo fanboy, but I'm a gamer first. Ain't no way in hell I'm going to spend $800 on a PlayStation that comes with limited things. No stand to even stand it up. That should be included. No disc drive, because y'all want to get rid of physical copies. Y'all want to take back games whenever you want. Do you realize that Nintendo is the only game company still willing to use physical hardware and cartridges when the rest of the world is going digital? That new PlayStation, oh, and in case you didn't realize, because y'all talking about Nintendo, Google the new running price of that PlayStation 5. Because it increased in prices because of tariffs. Go look at that new price of that PlayStation. Go look at that new price of that Xbox. Now come back to that Nintendo Switch at $450 and tell me they done y'all wrong. They haven't. I'm going to stand on deck with saying it. It's a little bit more than what we paid for with the Nintendo Switch 1. And I got it right over there. I've been playing it for the last 8 years. But it's a premium product. How do you expect a premium product to cost the same amount as that? Y'all bitched and moaned because that couldn't produce the games that you wanted to play. Nintendo heard it, answered back, came up with industry standard breaking new software and hardware to render it. They gave you everything you asked for.
Even new games.
Even new games. And you bitch and moan. You not real Nintendo customers. The real Nintendo customers, listen to them. The real people who support Nintendo, Nintendo Switch, and their products. The only thing we're bitching about is the accessory cost. That's the only thing we're bitching about. $95 for some Joy-Cons, that's a lot. $80 to $90 for a Pro Controller, that's a lot. And they know that. But guess what? You can use your Pro Controller from part 1, from Nintendo Switch 1, on that Switch 2, day 1. You can use mostly all of your controllers, except the Joy-Cons, because they don't fit, from Nintendo Switch 1 on Nintendo Switch 2. Now tell me they don't understand your pockets. They could have cut it out. How many backwards compatible things have they cut out on PlayStation and Xbox? You can't use it from the system before. So what I'm just saying is, in your conversations against Nintendo Switch and your conversations of how you think they done you wrong, put yourself in a multi-billion-dollar company that's willing to operate a launch at a negative for their system. And yeah, let's talk about $80 games. I said it before and I'll say it again. Google how much Super Nintendo games cost back in the 90s. Google how much Nintendo 64 games cost back in the 90s. You had some $80 and $90 games. So what are you bitching about? Because if you really are a fan of the system and what you're doing, yeah, the games are expensive, but they've always been expensive. Go back to the 90s. Super Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox. Look at the game prices back then. Compare them to now. So don't blame Nintendo for the world market. Nintendo is answering it the best way they can. They gave you everything you asked for and more, and they operated at a loss. $50 over their production costs. $50. That's it. $50 over their production costs. It's costing them $400 per unit. They're selling it to you for $450. In percentages, how much profit is that? Once again, you can Google all these. So this was just my little response because I understand and I take into account of what people are saying about prices and systems. But when you spread that shit across the board with Xbox and PlayStation and everything that's out there now, how much is that gaming PC gonna cost you? $1,500? Oh, y'all ain't got a problem with that, right? You ain't got a problem with your gaming rig being $1,500, $1,600, $2,000. You ain't got a problem with that that RTX, that GTX. You ain't got a problem with the NVIDIA. You ain't got a problem with the AMD. You ain't got a problem with all them graphics cards being expensive. You ain't got a problem with a processor that's $200. Now take all those costs and combine them into the Nintendo Switch, and it's handheld. Handheld. I saw a video that I'm going to include in here with PlayStation 5 rendering a game and Nintendo Switch 2 rendering the same exact game. Not PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. And if you look at them side by side, you'd have to actually have a digital encounter to see the differences between the two games. So picture shrinking down a PS5 with that amount of power and technology, or that new Xbox, and putting it in the palm of your hand. How much do you think they would charge for that system? Now picture that system being able to be played on TV as well. Oh, they're going to charge you out the butt cheeks for that. They ain't going to let you have that system to be able to play it on your TV and in your handheld. No, they're going to make their own little handheld system. Xbox is making their handheld. PlayStation's going to give you that little streaming handheld. Then it was like, oh, let's do the PSP again. Let's do the new PSP. Let's do this, because they see what Nintendo is doing and it works. Nintendo is operating the way it is because it knows the market. But when you talk about prices, everybody's just talking about the Nintendo prices compared it to the Nintendo Switch 1. You can't do that. That's like comparing last year's model TV to this year's model TV. You could go to Walmart and look at a 2025 TV for $800, and then go look at that 2024 TV. You'd be like, why is that $350? Because it's last year's model. Outdated software, outdated hardware. This is an upgrade. The biggest upgrade Nintendo has ever made. It's next gen. Now Nintendo Switch is a next gen system, like everybody's been asking for. And they're operating at a loss. So you can say what you want. You can feel whichever way you want to feel. As a gamer, I understand it. I'm okay. You can come to the table. We can talk. You can do anything you want. Just don't troll. Be 100. Because all these things that I'm saying to you, you can look up for yourself. It's there. It's out there for you. Yes, it's a hard price to swallow at a higher price, but it's a premium price for a premium system. And here's the thing, you don't have to upgrade to Nintendo Switch 2 yet. Remember, you still have the Switch 1. They still have games coming out for the Switch 1. They still have, it's just like the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4. You can go to PlayStation 4 and most people love the older system, but they wanted to push you over to 5. Now that you got your 5, they're like, guess what? That 5 ain't good enough. We got the Pro coming out. That Pro gonna cost you a little bit more, but the games are 30 frames better. The lighting and the shades on the burnt umber are just a little bit better.
PlayStation says that they're going to stop producing 4 games to force you to get a game console you don't want.
Yeah.
And they all complain about the accessory prices for the Nintendo Switch 2. The only thing that they're making you spend the most money on is the camera, which I completely understand.
That's the nightmare creature over there. She's jumping in, chiming in on the conversation. Somebody just inboxed me this morning and asked me my thoughts on all this. Pete, this is out to you. This is out to you. You asked me my ideas on this. Well, for the last couple of hours, I've been looking up things, checking out things, checking into things, looking in production costs and prices and manufacturing on everything. And looking into it, yes, they are operating at a loss. But Nintendo has always done that. So yeah, it's a little bit more money than the Switch. But look how much more it's doing than the Switch. Would you expect the PlayStation 3 to be the same price as a PlayStation 5? No, you wouldn't. So why are you expecting that from Nintendo? Exactly. The juice is worth the squeeze, in my opinion, in this point. And if you don't want it, then don't buy it. That's just simply put. If you don't want it and you don't like it, don't buy it. Games are $80 across the board. PlayStation, Xbox, unless you get them on clearance. And I'm quite sure Nintendo will have clearance sales on their Nintendo 2 Switch games. I'm pretty sure there'll be a Christmas sale. I'm pretty sure they'll have those things because they took all those things into consideration when they did everything. So the only thing I really have a problem with is the accessory prices. But day one, if you got a Nintendo Switch and you want to play it, you can still use your Switch 1 Pro controller. it works on the Switch too. You ain't got to buy that brand new Pro controller. You ain't got to buy that brand new wheel. It's still Bluetooth, and Bluetooth controllers still do work on it. You can use a PlayStation 5 controller on a Switch. What I'm saying is, don't let the media and people paid to down the Switch influence your decision. If it's a little bit out of your price rate budget, I understand. So then don't make the jump just yet. However, with real world problems going on right now, I can't guarantee you that all the systems aren't going to go up in price because of manufacturing costs. But right now, Nintendo's ain't. If you go on most of their websites overseas, pre-orders are sold out. So somebody's buying it. Question is, make an informed decision of whether or not you want to buy it. I'm a Nintendo fanboy. But there's a reason why I have an Xbox wall. There's a reason why I got a PlayStation wall, a Sega wall, an Atari wall. There's a reason why I have those other consoles. I'm not biased when it comes to gaming. I game on my PC as much as my Switch, as much as my PlayStation, as much as my Xbox, as much as I even have the minis. Like, I game on all platforms. So I understand it. But I also understand a company when they're willing to do a little bit more than what those other companies are doing right now. PlayStation don't want you to have a physical game. They want to be able to take it away from you whenever you want. You renting that game, even though you paid for it. Xbox wants to do the same thing. Steam is doing the same thing. Pulling people's game stuffs off and game catalogs off. But I bought the game. Nah, read it carefully. You bought the license to rent that game. Nintendo is still producing physical media, cartridges. And for Yozo's talking about the key cards, oh, it's just a key. They're not all that way. You know how many games that they've announced so far that are on those bigger carts, those 64 gig carts? Now, there's something else they came out with today that if you guys want to check out, you could look into as well. They said the carts that they have for the Nintendo Switch 2, if put in to either Switch 1 or Switch 2, it'll detect which version it's going into and work for that console. So that means that cart potentially has two versions of a game on it. Nintendo Switch 1 version and a Nintendo Switch 2 version. Now, I like that for a lot of reasons, because that just lets me know if you have a game that you have in your hand and you like, it comes out for both versions, you can get that game on Switch 1, and when you're ready to make the jump, just pop it into your Switch 2. But oh, guess what? It's going to work regardless. Look at the games that are backwards compatible with the Switch. But think about that. Think about that idea for a second. You put this game card into your Switch 1, it detects Switch 1 and plays. You put the same game card into your Switch 2, it detects Switch 2 and plays that version as well. Smart technology. But we're talking about physical technology in a world where physical technology does not want to exist anymore. Nintendo launched their system with physicality in mind right now. By gamers, for gamers, with gamers in mind. Period. And that's all I'm going to say on it. You can do whatever you want to do. You can comment whatever you want to comment. Trolls will be kicked out of my comment section. Sorry, it just is what it is. But on the same token, if you want to have a spirited intellectual conversation about it, please share your thoughts. But everything I said in this video, you can Google, you can go on the net just like I did and look it up. It's 100%. They're operating at a loss at a launch, and you guys want to kick them in the teeth and talk about the prices. But if you go back to the 90s and look up game cost, look up Nintendo 64, look up Super Nintendo, look up PlayStation, Xbox, TurboGrafx 16, Panasonic 3DO Real, Neo Geo. Go look up those game costs in the 90s before inflation and all that other stuff was going on. You're still gonna have $80, $90, and $100 games. So what's changed? Nothing. So don't jump on a bandwagon and bash Nintendo at one of their greatest achievements that they've ever done in their company. Celebrate it. And for those true Nintendo people out there, And gaming fans that understand what I'm saying, my hat's off to you. I don't know if I'll be there on day one. Even saying that, I pray that I am. I hope that I'm blessed enough to be there on day one. But if not, the gameplay still continues. I still got... Bro, y'all talk about the Switch 2. I was playing Neo Geo last night. I was playing TurboGrafx 16 last night. I got... You see what's up there? That's a Nintendo 1. That's a Nintendo 1. Not a Nintendo Switch 1. That's a Nintendo 1 and a Nintendo 64 right there. With a Super Nintendo right there. You go over here. You see that? Right there? Xbox 360, PlayStation 4. You don't have to jump into the Nintendo Switch 2 boat. Nobody's telling you you have to. If you don't like it, don't buy it. But don't bitch either. And don't try to downplay it. Because when you talk about Nintendo being money hungry and they too big for their britches, why don't y'all sing that same shit to PlayStation? Why don't y'all sing that to Xbox? And here's the thing. And like I said, this is the last thing I'm going to say before I'm done. I hear Xbox getting a lot of bashing too lately. Y'all PlayStation people, and I'm a PlayStation person myself. I got every generation of PlayStation. Every generation of PlayStation. But sometimes y'all some fickle people. Because Xbox is getting kicked in the teeth now over games and over one of the higher people saying everything is an Xbox. If you have a tablet, it's an Xbox. If you have a TV, it's an Xbox. If you have a phone, it's an Xbox. Xbox streaming, Xbox Live, Xbox service. Like everybody kicking them because they're just like, well, yeah, they're going to lose. What are they losing? Have you forgotten? Xbox is owned by Microsoft. Microsoft. The same name on pretty much all your gaming PCs. The same name on most of your gaming PC products. The same name on those Windows systems that you have out there. Windows 11, Windows 10, hell, some people still on Windows 7. But that's Microsoft. That's all Microsoft. When you think of Xbox, you think of just the console. Nah. If it was just the console, they would be in trouble. But they're in enough of a stable position to buy up 80% of all the gaming studios. So how much are they suffering really? Y'all talk about, well, they ain't producing consoles and they ain't sold enough consoles. They don't need to. They're into PC gaming. They PC gaming rigs. Have y'all forgotten that's Microsoft too? Y'all don't include that when y'all come in with y'all statistics. And look, I get it. Xbox is trying to get out the console game. I get it. They don't need to be. They don't need to be in the console game. Because they're basically, their last Xbox is basically a tower. Just like PlayStation. Your PlayStation, that gigantic monstrosity with a jet engine, is basically a PC tower. At this point. It's basically a PC tower. Video card, processor, memory, it's basically a game tower. And let's not talk about games, PlayStation. Y'all already contentions talking about y'all new PS6. The PS5 Pro ain't even running the way it's supposed to be out there. And y'all, how many games console life cycle have y'all put out on the PlayStation 5? I believe it's the lowest circulation of games to ever come out on a PlayStation system. I'm not bashing PlayStation because I play PlayStation. Not bashing Xbox because I play Xbox. But business-wise, there's something there if Xbox and PlayStation are coming to the table to Nintendo to put their games on that new Switch 2. They're jumping in. They're swimming in. They're in the environment. They had people at the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct that just showed up for commercials like, hey, you like 2K? You're going to be able to play 2K on Switch 2. Hey, y'all like throwing footballs? They're going to be there on the Switch 2. Oh, you guys like Call of Duty? Like, you got to understand something. Go out. Matter of fact, Google. I'm not going to put it in this video because there's a lot of different versions of it. Go to YouTube and look up Cyberpunk 2077 and Nintendo Switch 2 and look at the different systems that it's on. Now, Cyberpunk, I remind you, when it first came out, couldn't even run on PlayStation or Xbox. The game footage that they showed, remember the CD Projekt Red, remember all that stuff? It did so bad because everything they showed was on the PC. It wasn't on the PlayStation or the Xbox. They did so bad, they took it off the PlayStation Store, took it off the Xbox Store. Now look at that game when it came back. It's on the table, but it takes a lot of power to run that game. I know people's PCs who have gaming PCs that can't run Cyberpunk correctly. Now you're going to tell me the Nintendo Switch 2 in handheld mode, bam, they're going to bust it. They're going to bust it with no problem. And look at the way it looks. It's better than Xbox. And it stacks up to PlayStation 5. So let's talk about inherently what you're talking about. Because a lot of people's like, oh, it's a PlayStation 4. It's not. And even that's demeaning. Have you played PlayStation 4? PlayStation 4 has amazing graphics. It has amazing games. That's somebody who doesn't play PlayStation 4. I just bust Call of Duty Cold War and another Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on PlayStation 4. The graphics are fucking insane. So don't tell me it ain't all cap, because it is. Because they put Mortal Kombat 1 on the Nintendo Switch 1. That's right. That Nintendo Switch runs Mortal Kombat 1, but it wasn't on PlayStation 4. They said, oh, it can't handle the graphics and the demanding. But Nintendo Switch 1 that y'all spitting in its eye ran it. And with the latest patches, it runs pretty good. Now let's talk Nintendo Switch 2. How many times stronger is the Nintendo Switch 2 than the Nintendo Switch 1? And still you bitch about the price. Go out and buy a video card. Matter of fact, I challenge you to go build a gaming PC. Get that video card, get that memory, get that processor, get everything that you need, your case, go get all that stuff. And even at the lowest end of the spectrum, you're still talking about $1,000. Their second one is $450. That don't even cover the cost of a modern graphics card. Now go ahead and say something. That's what I'm talking about. That's all I'm saying right there. I ain't coming at y'all, at none of y'all, for how you feel. You gonna feel how you feel, and it is what it is, and that's the way the world is. 100%. But if you don't like it, don't buy it. But on the same token, don't try to bash them for what they're trying to achieve. This is the greatest achievement Nintendo has ever pushed forward to. They didn't need, matter of fact, if you go back to 5 years ago, they said we didn't want to compete with PlayStation. We didn't want to compete with Xbox. We're not even in the next gen contention. We don't want that. We want to work on our games. We want to work on family fun and enjoyment. And that's what their concentration was. But so many of y'all bitch that they ain't got the games that you want to play. That you can't play that game that you play on Xbox and PlayStation on the Nintendo Switch because you want to hold it in your hands and play it. Well, now you can. And you gonna bitch about $50 above their market production cost? I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway, this is my last word. I'm speaking on that. I don't care. Do what you need to do. Go where you need to go. Have whatever conversation you want to have. You can have a spirited conversation with me. I will inbox you back anytime. We can go live anytime. We can go back and forth anytime. But when it comes down to simple mathematics, prices, logistics, production costs, they're still operating lower and better than PlayStation and Xbox. That's why PlayStation and Xbox are coming to them to put their games on their platform, so they can get all the money they can from their games. I don't see Nintendo putting Mario on PlayStation. Odyssey on PlayStation? No, it ain't. Marvel's Deadly Alliance, The Black Order, is that on Xbox? Nah, it ain't. But how many PlayStation games already are on Nintendo Switch 1? How many Xbox games are on Nintendo Switch 1? And how many Xbox and PlayStation games and PC games, because now you have the mouse option on a Joy-Con, are looking to join in on Nintendo Switch 2 fun? They know something that you don't. This is the game changer. And for all the people who really are gamers out there, it's going to cost and it's going to hurt. But if the juice is worth the squeeze, it's all you need. 100%. That's my word. I'll check you guys next time. This is my final thoughts and words on it. Pete, This was in response to you. You can look up everything too the same way, but this is how I feel from a gamer. I took the Nintendo hat off. I took my Nintendo fanboy mind out of it, and I looked at simple cost against simple systems in this time frame that we're dealing with right now in the world. And I'm sorry, it's still the lowest priced game system for a next gen console. Console hybrid, console and handheld. PlayStation make you buy the system and the handheld. Xbox make you buy the system and the handheld. This is both a handheld and console for less than the price than both of them. That's it.